Hey guys, I'm just chiming in at the very beginning of this time-lapse. I won't be here too long, but I just wanted to let you guys know that I will be chiming in every once in a while during the time-lapse itself to explain what I'm doing, and I'll be doing that through the time-lapse recording themselves, so it'll be sort of a live commentary as I'm doing it in the moment. This bit of commentary you're listening to right now is the only bit of post-commentary you'll be listening to. At this point I've finished the entire model and the time-lapse itself. It's already all edited, I'm just putting this in post. The time-lapse is going to be a bit quick, because this is 60 hours and it's just about over an hour at this point, so it's about 60 times sped up. Just be warned, it'll be quite fast. I will be uploading this video in 60 frames per second, so if you need to slow this video down, there is an option to do that in most platforms, especially if you're on a browser. There should be an option to just slow this down by half or something. It'll be in 30 FPS if you slow it down by half, so it's still very, very watchable if you need to do that. But other than that, please enjoy the time-lapse of me modeling my new Leafeon model. it would appear that my camera's exposure settings aren't quite right at this time of day. That's good. But, yeah. I just finished up the eyelid rigging, pretty much. At least the base of it. There's going to be a lot of other additions made to it, but the base of it is mainly these two blend shapes. No, where are they? No, I'm on the wrong thing. Here we go. Here. 2 blend shapes per eyelid. One of the blend shapes is, let me go ahead and swap to this, is the eyelids being fully closed, and the other is an assist blend shape so that the eyelids don't clip through the eyes, because the eyes aren't perfectly flat. And yeah, the driver makes the assist key fully active midway through and then tapers away to 0 again once it's fully active. So yeah, here we go. Like so. There's only 2 blend shapes being used here, and if I were to disable the assist blend shape, the eyelid will start clipping through the eye, which is not what I want, which is why that blend shape exists. But yeah, that'll be it for right now. I'm gonna go ahead and have some food, and I'll be back. Okay, so I got a lot done today. I got a lot of blend shapes done, pretty much mostly blend shapes today, as well as I got the eyelashes. I added some eyebrows. I made sure to make them non-permanent so that if I ever needed a render without eyebrows, if I just wanted to render the Pokemon without like having the expressional range of an actual facial rig, I could just, I will have a way to like hide the eyebrows as well as probably the eyelashes as well, because they aren't technically true to the design, but I think they would be decent additions if I want the full expressional range of what I want. So yeah, they will be there by default, but I will hide them if necessary if I just want a shot of the Pokemon. But yeah, tomorrow I will rig the blend shapes. I've got most of the blend shapes for the mouth done, but I still need to rig them in a way that I need to rig them in a way to where all, like, I think there's about 6 or 7 blend shapes per side of the mouth that will be needed to rig, using only one bone controller to control the lip corners. I also still need to weight paint the bottom lips, but I'll get to that later. I didn't want to deal with that tonight. What else do I need to do? Alright, the eyebrows. I need to do blend shapes for the eyebrows. I have some ideas, but I'm not sure how to describe them. I'm not sure if that will work, but I don't want to use pure blend shapes for the eyebrows this time around, because that tends to get overcomplicated. So I'm going to try to not do that, but I still need to do blend shapes for some of it. That's just going to be needed. Other than that, if I get all that done tomorrow, I will move on to re-topologizing other parts of the body, because I've been mostly focusing on the face at this point. But I'll probably start with the ears, maybe some of the tufts, definitely the paws. The paws need to be pretty much completely reworked, because I don't like how they function by default from the 3DS games. They're not quite ideal in terms of how they're modeled and rigged, so I'll probably have to redo that completely, especially to give separation to the actual individual fingers, basically. I don't... Do you call them fingers if they're on a paw? I don't know. But you know what I mean. And I also flatten this out a little bit. It's a little bit too curved for my tastes. is actually working a lot better because of how I shaped the eyes this time. The pony eyes were large, and they didn't go that deep. The eye sockets are not that deep for the ponies. And that's a choice. I don't think it's going to benefit by having eye sockets that go that deep for those kinds of designs. I don't think it'll benefit. It's a lot more complicated to rig, but it works better, and it's working right now anyway. I don't need to go back and change it. But, with this Leafeon model, I gave the eye socket some depth. Put the eyes in pretty deep. And it seems to be working out pretty nicely. Good. Awesome. Just, yes. Alright. I didn't expect this to, hold on. I didn't expect to get this done today. I've pretty much finished the eyebrow rigging. Pretty much. Like, there's still some of these. Like, I could probably make some corrective blend shapes for, like, if I bring this side all the way up and this side all the way down. There's some deformations there I don't like. I can add to that to correct some of these bad shapes, but overall it's still very functional, and it's a lot simpler than what I have on my MOP rig. It's mainly because of how the model is, well, modeled. It's mostly because of the eye sockets, actually. The eye sockets are deep enough to where I don't need a whole bunch of corrective shape keys for everything. So I only have 8 blend shapes per eyebrow per side, so it's not too bad. It's a lot simpler than I thought it would be. I'll probably add a few more for corrective blend shape purposes, because this is not ideal, and that's not too bad. Could be worse. I mean, yeah. Corrective blend shapes just to make sure the shape holds as I pose it in more extreme positions, but overall it works just nice, just great. I like it. Alright. Huh. I'm just surprised I got it done, to be quite frank. Alright. I still have some drivers I could do for the tongue. Earlier in the time-lapse I was working on that, but I didn't quite finish. But the tongue is going to be blend shape driven as well, because it's simpler to animate that way. Having bones for tongue isn't quite ideal because you can't see inside the mouth very easily, and trying to animate with bones is just kind of annoying. So having blend shapes will guarantee a good tongue shape for like lip syncing or whatever's needed. I guess I could rig the nose. The nose bone is there from the 3DS model. I could probably just rig it now, but you'll get to it eventually. What else? I think I also did the mouth drivers as well, didn't I? Today? I think I did, right? No, that was yesterday. Wasn't it yesterday? I'm confused. Well, whatever. This is done too. This is done too, pretty much. It's good. I could actually do the puckers. The actual, like, the lip fold. Like this. I have those out. Over here. I have not given them drivers yet. But, again, they're useful for lip syncing as well as making the lips actually pucker when you actually have that shape. Yeah. What else? Yeah, that's it for now. Yeah, I might as well finish up a few other things, like the things I mentioned. The tongue, as well as the lips. Let's get to that. So that was one of my longer work sessions. That's like almost 11 hours of total recorded video of just me working, pretty much. Some of that had time gaps of me like eating lunch or dinner or whatever, but like it's still 11 hours of recording that I'll have to go through for just today. But mostly today was dedicated to well, reworking the entire body. I got to the ears yesterday, but today has been pretty much tackling the rest of everything else. You might have seen earlier that I tried a few different types of ways, a few different ideas that I had of how to do the fur transition to the actual leaf of the ear. I settled with basically a procedural texture that transitions from one material to another, where the leaf actually has the leaf texture to it, and this part is actually just fur. So before I tried to do it like with having a separate model transition to it, like I mean you could just rewind, I guess, to see exactly what I did, but I didn't like how those looked at all, no matter what I tried. So I thought I might as well just do it like this. It does look a little bit more flat, but it still has different materials that separates them and makes them feel separate, even though they're still like flush. So I still think it's good. Also, don't mind that all these meshes are like separated, like around here. I just have everything separated in meshes. Separated meshes for now, so that's easier to work with. I don't have to worry about blend shapes breaking or whatever. So yeah, I'll be merging them back together once I'm done modifying the model as a whole. I also got down to the legs. I spent most of my time today on these, I think. I got to the fur transition to the feet as well as these I guess feelers, tufts, whatever. I mean, they're leaf tufts. It's kind of hard to give these a name. They're so unique to Leafeon here. But yeah, it's the same deal as like the ears. The transition is basically the exact same thing. The same materials and everything. Was it tail today too? I think it was. Yeah, this is also the thing I did today. I still haven't gotten to the rest of the body. I'm ending the day on doing a few other re-topology things I want to do with these guys, the tips of these. I haven't finished all that yet, as well as these. But yeah, not much else. Oh yeah, I also did a lot of material work in general, not just like doing texture work and making sure things like, yeah, materials as in like, if I go in here, I did a lot of tests with subsurface scattering and make sure everything looked good, especially with the fur transition to the leaf itself, because the leaf itself what's inside the leaf isn't the same as, I should probably stop the render so that my recording doesn't lag. But the material for the leaf, for the subsurface scattering, where the light passes through it, is not the same as if it was passing through the actual body. The body would make the light red because, you know, it's a organic being having blood and all, you know. But the leaf itself isn't like that. It's a plant, so its subsurface scattering settings would be different, not just in color, but like has different properties to it as well. I needed to get that right. The face itself, I don't think I did much. I got the fur, like these subtle fur normal maps in there, because I didn't want it to be completely flat. I do this with my pony models as well. Oh yeah, I did the nose. The nose also has that too. But the actual geometry of the face is pretty much the same as when the day started, because that's not what my focus was today. But yeah, I'm not gonna let this summer drag on for too much longer, but it was a long day, so I will go ahead and go to bed. I'm not sure if you can hear that, but the birds are chirping out there, and I have the window open. What time? It's 5:30. 5:30 in the morning. The sun's about to rise, and I should probably go to bed. All right. Okay, just to follow up with what I just recorded, literally just a minute ago. There's one more thing I wanted to mention. Also was the weight painting I did for the legs, where I redid some of the bone positioning from the original 3DS model. This leg or hand, it's technically, this part, the wrist to the tip of the fingers. This is what that is right here. I raised that up significantly. It was about here before. I felt like that was kind of odd because the evolution line is very canine-like. They have canine topology, or well, anatomy, I should say. It's very canine-like in terms of its anatomy. And having that hand wrist area being as low as it was very not ideal. And it just didn't look natural. I couldn't get the paws to actually fold the way... Oh, no, wrong boat. To fold the way I wanted it to. But now there's actual length to the wrist, to the tip of the fingers. I haven't rigged the actual individual fingers yet, but that'll be tomorrow, hopefully, sometime then. But yeah, that's yeah. I also did re-topology for the entire feed as well. I don't know if I mentioned that either. I just mentioned the texture. Anyway, yeah, that's it. Now tomorrow is a new day, and I need to get to that new day, even though it's technically tomorrow already. God, I'm going to bed. Going to bed. So today was a lot of experimentation. Obviously, I finished up most of the materials and all that. The procedural texture work on the rest of the body and all that. That's pretty much done at this point. But most of the day, I felt like I was working on these guys up here. I guess I'm calling them whiskers, but I don't know if they qualify as that because of how high up they are. But they're probably more like tufts. But regardless, I needed to figure out a way to make these tufts look like fur while still being flushly attached to the actual main mesh without there being any sort of separation of the model or where they like intersect, and it kind of looks ugly if I do that. Like this is all, at least the outer layer is like connected, so it's smooth. Can I please center, not centered? There you go. The outer layer being the main mesh where the entire face is being used. Can't find these buttons. Here we go. The first layer of fur that tapers off is actually connected. That's what I mean. But then there's separate meshes for each layer. I've done layered hair before, but not in this way where it's actually connected to the main mesh where there's a smooth transition. But yeah, that's basically what I've been doing. I've been kind of tinkering with that, make sure it looks good enough for my purposes. It's obviously not going to be real fur emissions. I didn't want to go there, at least not yet. I might go there eventually, but right now, no. And I think this looks good enough for my purposes, honestly. And I do intend to make these changes to these guys up here as well. Because since it's this color, like how I've separated the materials for Leafeon is this light tannish color is fur. All green is leaf material. All of them, no exceptions. And the brown is not fur. It is bare skin in some way, the nose and the feet being the main examples here. I'm not sure what to do with the inner ear yet. I feel like I might just keep it a flat material, but I'm not sure. Because it's not the same as the nose or the feet, because it's actually within the leaf itself, so it's probably going to be different. I'm treating it differently as well, like it's a completely different material. So, and I think it looks good as is. I'm not sure if I want to add more to it, but I also modified some blend shapes earlier as well, because I wasn't too happy with the flexibility. They weren't as flexible as I would have liked, so I just extended them a little bit more, as you might have seen. Obviously, having poses like that where you push them all out to the max is never going to look good, but that's not the purpose of them. You're not supposed to bring them all out at all times where it looks uncanny and creepy. No. But I have to do it like that anyway, so that I can actually have the wiggle room to push them out as far as I feel like I should be able to, basically. And I was referring to the lip corners, if it wasn't obvious enough. The lip corners. Push them out. Let's see. I don't think I did much else today. It was mostly just experimentation. I also did a pose. I don't think I got the posing on camera. If that gets skipped, yeah, it's gonna get skipped because I didn't record it at all. That's all I did. You didn't miss anything regarding the actual modeling or rigging or whatever. That's still all on camera, to my knowledge. I'll note if I missed anything, obviously, but I've recorded everything else so far. If there's corrupted footage, then that'll complicate things. But yeah, let's see. I think that's all I did, though. Not much else to say. I'm gonna move on to tomorrow. Let's do this. Let's do the bed thing where we sleep and close our eyes. That'd be a good idea. Okay, so I'm back. There's a time gap, about 4 hours or so of a time gap because I screwed up one of my recordings of a session I had. So you won't be seeing that. So all I did during that time was refine further of these side tufts on the side of the head, and also create the center one, which basically is the same deal. I might refine the center one a little bit more. Actually, I will. I know I want to change some things about that, but the side tufts are pretty much good, and I still need to do the back one here. But other than that, once I get that done, I think I'm pretty much done with the actual like meat of this. All I really have to do afterwards is like configure an IK rig so that I can actually pose it more easily. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, we're pretty much almost done here. Unfortunately, I screwed up, you know, the recording, but it's no big deal. You'll be seeing it again when I do it for this back tufts here, and you've already seen it with these guys, except you haven't seen me further refine that. That's gone, I guess, but it's okay. It's all right. Moving on though. Okay, so that was kind of an interesting problem I was having there. So to explain what was happening, let me just have this rendering here. Before now, there was like glowing light here, and it's kind of a bug. It's kind of hard to explain. Like, I kind of get why it's happening, but I'm not getting too deep into why. But basically, in a very specific set of circumstances, depending on how you set up your materials in mesh, there are parts where they can glow. And in this case, it's because two parts of a mesh were intersecting. Like this, they were just intersecting. And they used the material that was applied to that mesh that was intersecting had subsurface scattering enabled, and also had transparency enabled. And they all happen to be in the same object. If all of those are met, it'll glow. I've dealt with it before, so I knew what to do to get rid of it. But it's just something I completely forgot about until now. It's kind of an interesting bug. What I had to do was go in here. I do not have it selected. No, I do have it selected. There we go. Okay. Basically, this red vertex paint here is what disables subsurface scattering. So I have all of this 100% red in this area where it intersects, so that subsurface scattering is just completely off in this area. And it looks fine because it's supposed to be off anyway. It's just because, you know, it's hair. It's not actually skin. So yeah, anyway, I just thought I'd point that out because it was kind of a weird issue. Moving on. Okay, so I think I'm pretty much done at this point. Oh yeah, my webcam is not at the proper settings. I am like at 5 frames per second at the moment. Give me 1 second. It's not gonna matter for the time lapse, but for commentary, it's a pretty big deal. Hey, I actually have frames. Okay. Alright, so yeah, I'm pretty much done. Last thing I did was the nose for some reason. I just kind of neglected to do it. But now it's there, it exists, if I need to make the nose twitch or whatever. But, yeah. Most of today was doing inverse kinematic rigging. As well as, at the start, I also wanted to fix up this intersection area here. It still had problems when I disabled subsurface scattering, where the intersection would just make it too dark. And it would just stand out compared to like the actual rest of the hair that actually intersects with alpha transparency and stuff. So I just got rid of the intersection altogether. And it looks fine. So yeah. That's it. Pretty much. I have nothing else to say. I might make some other tweaks later, but they're not really worth putting in the time lapse. Pretty much the bulk of the work has been done. All the important bits are done. And I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Maybe sometime later down the line I might make a version where it's actually using actual fur, using the hair particle system. Maybe I'll do that at some point in the future, but I don't want that to be the main model because I want the main model to be flexible and not be a pain in the ass to use. And whenever you have a particle system, it just becomes a pain in the ass. So I'm not going to do that by default. Might do that later in the future. Like, if I were to do that, I wouldn't do it like how I did with the Pichu render I did. That's using that pose that's above me right now. This one up there. But instead of, you know, just being flat, it was actually using fur. I'll have a screenshot up with it. That was using like the Detective Pikachu movie style, where it's hyper realistic looking while keeping its proportions. I still want us to look like this, just, you know, using actual fur basically, instead of using the textures that I have right now. But yeah, with that, I'm pretty much done. And with the release of this time-lapse, I think I'll be releasing the model for this as well. If not earlier. I'll for sure, by the time I have this out, I will have a link for it down below in the description, for sure. For anyone who wants to check it out. It'll be the first time I've released one of my rigs before. And I'm pretty happy with how this turned out, but since I have my MOP rigs that I still haven't released yet, I still am not happy with those yet to release. So it's only been something that I've been able to use, and no one else has been able to use them yet. But with me completing this rig, and me being satisfied with it as it is, I think I'm ready for it to be released. I'd be happy for people to actually use it. Or if not that, learn something from it. Perhaps they want to like look into how things were rigged, look into specifics, like what did I do for blend shapes or whatever. Whatever it might be. That's not creepy at all. Again, like I said, blend shapes are not meant to be pretty looking from like... Yeah, blend shapes aren't meant to not look creepy. They're supposed to be as exaggerated as possible so that the rig is given the most flexibility. So, you know. Anyways, yeah. I'm not gonna drag this out much longer than I am right now, so I'm just gonna go ahead and end this. It is done. Time-lapse finished. Complete. Look, I'm not good with the outros. I guess that's the outro.